we talk about price so much, and the industry seems to be talking a lot about price as well. So there's been a lot of articles recently on how like Tesla is starting a price war, destroying some car makers. You've mentioned in your own analysis as well, Yilun, that some car manufacturers, even ICE car companies, are offering discount as much as 40% off the suggested retail price. What's going on? What's your view?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I think certainly the price war right now is pretty crazy, and I think we'll have some like I think that as this headline says, some profound implications for the industry in the next 12 to 24 months. Certainly, I think consolidation is part of it. I think some bankruptcy might happen, or like some brand just exiting the market entirely, particularly like the JV, the joint venture brands. Just some of them aren't selling that well. Like take example, I think um, I think Mazda, like things like Mazda, Mitsubishi, um, and like Subaru and Infinity, like those brands just like they sell very few vehicles in China, and they've been on a precipitous decline. And I think they're going to like really struggle. I think that next year because one, they don't have like a great their brand isn't particularly like compelling. Like there's no like brand desirability for those vehicles, and then two, they don't have a great EV portfolio. So I think a combination of those, I think, will make things really tough for them.
So we think about how this plays out, Elon. It's one thing like if Volkswagen, Ford, GM, they exit China, they don't do well in China.
Yeah.
But what happens if it starts impacting the big local auto companies like BYD? There was recently a statement put out together by the China Association of Automobile Manufacturers saying that there needs to be a return to normal. You cannot disrupt the sector. These tactics shouldn't be long-term.
Yeah.
If it starts impacting large Chinese car manufacturers, do you see a chance or a risk of government stepping in? And how could this impact Tesla?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think this is like fairly speculative at this point, but we can certainly speculate. Like I think I think there's actually sort of like mental models for this in like kind of other price wars that happen in China. So like with like Uber and Didi, or kind of like these kind of bike sharing kind of price wars, or scaling wars. Really like the I think this won't stop until someone really gets hurt. I don't think it's I don't know if the government necessarily will come in. In fact, government's actually coming in, stepping in the other way right now. So they're helping a lot of their local OEMs, sort of incentivizing a lot of the OEMs to give discounts. And that's why you can see that those discounts are so large. Partially it's because of sort of like local government backing them. Um, so that the OEMs don't foot essentially the entire bill. But yeah, like I think I think it'll be very hard to pull back now, and then I think it'll but with that, I think would there be? I don't think it'll be like more price cuts from here, more extreme price cuts from here. But I don't. I think it'll be like take for example April. Do I expect the prices to go back up? Like
Yeah.
I'm not so sure. I think those will last longer than that, until it's like someone can't take it anymore, or the group can't take it anymore, and then it becomes and they essentially bow out of the market. And at that point, it's like okay, like we can have a reset. That's kind of like my current view today. But these things change very quickly, so what I said could be completely wrong.
It is very fluid. Usually in most markets, when prices go down, demand goes up. But what we're seeing in China is that despite quite sharp price cuts by many companies,
Yeah.
car sales are down by 20% year on year. What's driving this? Is this a broader economy thing, or is there something else that we're not aware of, Elon?
Yeah, I mean, I actually think there's probably a few factors here. So in January and February, um, uh, so one certainly kind of like there was a pull forward of demand into last year because the um, because at least for on the EV side, the subsidies were expiring. So I think that's part of it.
Yes.
Um, I think the second part is I do think like that macro is a big that definitely has an impact, particularly with COVID. I think one, if you look at the real estate sector, the the like real estate, prices are starting to come down in a lot of the major markets. Now it hasn't come down a lot, but just the fact that it has come down because like real estate is such a big part um, of people's wealth in China, that I think it becomes people are just like less confident about the future. It's like, oh, like what if my real estate goes down 10%, and like my like $10 million home, all of a sudden I lose $1 million. So like, okay, maybe I should like be careful on my car purchase. Maybe instead of buying a like a 400,000 RMB car, I'll just buy like a 300,000. And then for certain people in the lower end, it's like, oh, maybe initially I was buying a car, and now I won't buy a car. I think those things are true. I think the third thing actually is like it's actually having kind of a reverse effect with the price drops. That um, it's like the wait and see crowd basically. It's like, oh, because there's so many of these price drops, everybody's doing them. Like I
Yeah.
don't want to be the guy that like buys something and then
Yeah.
another price drop happens and then like I get like it's kind of like catching a falling knife if you're buying stocks or whatever.
That's right.
So there's a lot of like kind of wait and see crowd. So like to that extent, I think Li Auto started this, and I think a bunch of other companies that have followed. It's like, okay, like we're gonna give you a price guarantee that if our car drop prices again in the next 90 days, like you're gonna get the lower price. I think that was actually a pretty smart move. But yeah, I think those are kind of like the three factors I think are happening that is kind of like causing the drop in demand.
A cool fun fact for international audience when Elon was talking about like housing prices and how important housing is to like someone finance. In China, it's not just your finance, it's like your life, almost like your dating life revolves around getting a home as well. Like you need to have an apartment to Shanghai before you start dating someone. Otherwise, people won't marry you as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I think and particularly relative to people's disposable income, housing prices in China, particularly in tier one cities, are much higher. I
Yeah.
think like the but back in napkin math, I think it's like Shanghai for the average person. If they are able to afford a home, they basically have to work for 75 years without eating, essentially to be able to buy one. That's like how extreme it is.